is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. From preps to pros and everything in between, it's Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Live from the Lee Company studio. With the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, here's Chris Young.
Welcome into a hump day edition of Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow, Mo Patton, JP Plant. We are coming to you from Columbia in the Front Porch Sports headquarters, WKOM 1017 FM, and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, not LinkedIn. Nah.
We ain't messing with that.
Ain't messing with LinkedIn, man.
Try it that.
Oof. If you've ever done LinkedIn Live, congratulations. I'm proud of you. Because
we ain't doing it.
We tried. It's a hassle. Mo,
too much squeeze for the juice.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just not worth it. When I tell you, Mo, that we have one of the best shows lined up for you that we've had in a while, I'm not lying to you. We've got a phenomenal list of guests set to join us today, and I am looking forward to each and every one of them. And, of course, it's Wild and Wacky Wednesday, where we have the weirdest and wildest news from across the world, which is always fun. We have a ton of top stories. Not much on the rundown. So
it's a good thing.
Yeah, because we got
a ton of top stories.
Got a lot to get to. So let's go ahead and do it. Yesterday's results, today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
In girls high school basketball action on Tuesday night, Summertown went south of the border, picked up a 50-41 win over Rogers of Alabama. Franklin County defeated Spring Hill 48-32. It was Loretto 80, host Lawrence County 42. Hampshire moves to 10-2 on the year with a 49-47 win over Cornersville. Murfreesboro Central doubles up Mount Pleasant 50-25, and Community with a 54-34 win over Richmond.
In boys action, Rogers handed Summertown boys their first loss of the year, 69-61. It was Spring Hill going to Franklin County, getting a win, 44-34 over the Rebels. Lawrence County defeated Loretto 56-47 in boys action. Cornersville 43, Hampshire 31. Murfreesboro Central down Mount Pleasant 55-25. And Richland with the 8-point win holds on against Community 57-49.
You can put up the sharp objects in Memphis. The Tigers coming up with a 92-78 win at FedEx Forum over Alabama last night. Also, Tennessee defeating South Carolina upstate 96-52. Those two play each other Saturday at Bridgestone.
That's right. It's going to be fun.
Today's college basketball schedule at 5 o'clock on ESPN Plus. University of Tennessee at Chattanooga plays at Belmont. We'll talk more about that one in a second. Also today at 6:30 on ESPN Plus, it's Middle Tennessee State traveling to Oxford, taking on ex-coach Kermit Davis and the Ole Miss Rebels. NBA action tonight. The Grizzlies travel to Portland. That's a 9 o'clock tip.
That's it. That's today's rundown. All right, so let's jump right in, and we've got a ton of football we're going to get to, put it that way. And this is just straight off the top. We'll talk about this later probably in more detail, but Gene Chizik
is an idiot.
This is, by the way, I didn't delete this from last week. We literally had a top story about Gene Chizik being a tool on last Wednesday's show.
What was last Wednesday's?
I don't remember, but I know that I did not delete this and I didn't add this. It was already there. So there you go.
Maybe it's an ongoing trend.
Perhaps the words of Stidham are
not so much.
Not so much. Yeah. So anyway, Gene Chizik made tweeted about Texas offensive lineman getting paid $50,000 a year through NIL, and just talked about how it wasn't good for college football. Well, you know what else isn't good for college football, Gene?
Gene Chiswick.
There's that. At least they're doing it in the light instead of in the dark. I'm sorry. It's totally legal for a dog track owner to make a donation to a nonprofit church in Opelika. Totally legal to do that. I mean, what they do with the money after that, just because it went to the quarterback at Auburn at the time, it's not Gene Chiswick's fault.
Plausible deniability.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, we'll talk more about NILs and whatnot later, because there's some big news in college football today, as it is early signing day. But there's some hoops we need to talk about, and you just mentioned it. Chattanooga, Belmont tonight, Kirby Event Center.
The Mocs rolling in at 9-1. Casey Alexander's Bruins 8-3, and no less an authority on college basketball than bracketologist Joe Lenardi calls this the best game of the night.
Well, in his defense, and anybody who might think otherwise, the other best game of the night, Mo, would maybe be MTSU Ole Miss, because the rest of the slate is pretty thin.
Okay. Well, still.
But
don't deny these two mid-majors their moment in the sun, Chris.
Absolutely
on,
not.
you know?
No, look, Belmont is a good game no matter what. They're gonna play good basketball. They always do. And Chattanooga is really, I mean, they were the only team to beat was it we were talking about somebody, and I said that they had lost to Chattanooga. I guess it was whoever JSU was playing that day, and I forget who it was. But anyway, this Chattanooga team quietly putting up some numbers.
Lamont Paris's best team since he got there, coming off of the Wisconsin coaching staff, I'm sure. Let's see. Let's look at Chattanooga's schedule right quick. They beat UNC Asheville 78-73 in Asheville last Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Thumped Lipscomb 85-64 a couple of Sundays ago. Edged host VCU 56-54 back on November 20th. They've beaten Asheville twice, actually. They beat them 75-45 at the Roundhouse back in mid-November. And their only loss came to Charleston, 68-66. So.
At home.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, this
will be one of the better teams in the Southern Conference when conference play wraps up, and you know what Belmont does. So this is a big, resume builder for both these teams in terms of NCAA tournament play. Or
Belmont has beaten Iona and Samford and St. Louis in their last 5.
Iona
beat Alabama. Okay. I mean, I'm just saying, this is going to be a good basketball.
It's going to be a good basketball game again.
You've got ESPN Plus.
Or if you can get there, it's 5:00 start. Still got a little time.
Yeah, you got a little bit of time anyway.
Hurry
now, though.
Yeah.
Talking about good basketball games. Thought Alabama Memphis last night was going to be good. Turned out to be a little kind of a bummer.
Well, if you're an Alabama fan.
Well, or if you're just someone who's not a fan of either team and you were hoping for a good game, you didn't really get it.
It was good in stretches.
Yeah.
But Alabama did not take particularly good care of the basketball. I don't know if that was Memphis's defense. I don't know if they weren't focused. I'm not sure what exactly that was about, but they did not resemble the team that played Houston over the weekend.
Not at all. Memphis plays really well at FedEx, man.
And I'll tell you what, they got getting up and down, and the fans got into it. It was quite the atmosphere, and you kind of felt a little maybe desperation on Memphis's part. You know, they went into that game on that 4-game losing streak, and they got Tennessee coming up Saturday. And I don't know which, if you're Tennessee, I don't know what was better. If Memphis had come in on a 5-game win streak, or if they get this one under their belt and they start feeling a little bit better about themselves. Maybe they got that cocky, that swagger back. And
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's the thought that if they had lost, they're just continually down on themselves. But with the win, maybe they're a little less desperate than they were. But I don't think it matters. This is Memphis, Tennessee, man. And Memphis is always going to be up for this one because for whatever reason, even in basketball, they still feel like little brother.
Well, and I'll say this. I think I texted this to you last night. You know, that Alabama game, this Tennessee game, both more important to Memphis, really, because they're not going to get these type wins in conference play when they get into the American, unless it's a Houston or somebody like that. They're not going to see this caliber of competition night after night after night in the American. Tennessee and Alabama can build their resume in conference play. So these are big games in December for Coach Penny and the Tigers, who were wearing their Memphis State jerseys last night. And I thought that was really cool. Much cooler than the floor.
It's way better than the floor.
That floor is awful.
Speaking of the floor, I tweeted last night, whoever designed Richland's gym, I want them to be the official designer of all gyms from
everywhere.
Because the combination of the light wood floor color and the LED lights atop
make for some great photos.
Great photos. I mean, I didn't have to do anything to them. I went into I put them on my card, put them on the computer, and I was like, these are great.
I love that big logo. I love their logo.
Yeah.
To start with. And then
it goes almost 3-point line to 3-point line, which is great in and of itself. And then I had a friend last night, a guy who used to work at Hartselle, a newspaper in Hartselle, and now works in Mississippi. He's like, man, I love that baseline seating. I'm like, you know, we got a couple of gyms here. Well, at least 3. That
not to that degree, though.
Yeah, I mean, Summertown's is what, 8 or 9 rows, and then
CA's got
a few
baby bleachers at the baseline,
and Santa Fe has some above the rim on their baseline, and then some on the other end on the floor. So we've got a few gyms that have that, but it's nice. It's just weird to me that that's not where the students sit. But it's also the direction that Richland goes in the second half. So, but yeah, baseline seating. Whoever designed that gym, they should be the gym designer of all schools forever.
Everywhere.
We will talk more high school hoops later in the show with, but we'll get to some Clarksville stuff with Brady McAtamney from Main Street Preps. We'll also talk to brand new Independence football coach Scott Stidham. Announced today, story on MainStreetPreps.com.
And MainStreetMurray.com.
And MainStreetMurray.com. But next, we visit with the first female play-by-play announcer on television for the Blue Cross Bowl, Dawn Davenport, former Auburn volleyball player. So stick around. It's going to be fun. Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Day returns after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Festop Markets is a full-service, family-owned convenience store chain located in 14 locations throughout Middle and West Tennessee. For those in our listening area, you can find them in Columbia, Centerville, Lawrenceburg, Spring Hill, Dixon, and White Bluff.
Festop partners with wholesale fuel brands like Shell, Marathon, and Exxon, delivering a consistent customer experience that is fast, friendly, and clean. If it's not already, it will soon become your go-to store to shop in town or on the road. Festop Markets is proud to be keeping you moving in Tennessee.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ned Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
This is Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Sports talk like it used to be. You know, like your crazy uncle used to listen to. Only better. Here's Chris and Mo.
Better is relative, I guess. Then again,
Isn't everything, Chris?
it really is.
It's all in your the way you look at it.
It's all perspective.
Perspective.
Welcome back in. This is a hump day edition of Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today, coming to you from the Front Porch Sports headquarters of WKOM 1017 FM and on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and anywhere else you might can find video of us. We're everywhere, man. We're almost like Charles Pulliam.
Not
Almost.
quite.
Almost. Welcome back in there. I'm excited. We have a phenomenal guest standing by on the line. And, you know, Mo, when JP and you kind of caught the voice over the SEC championship game that was playing on the television we were watching,
And the hubbub of the media workroom.
Yeah, when you guys caught this voice, it was pretty exciting, and got to kind of witness and listen to history, which was a lot of fun. And now we bring in one part of 3HL on 104.5 The Zone, but the first female play-by-play broadcaster for a Blue Cross Bowl television game, Dawn Davenport. Dawn, welcome in. Thanks for joining us.
Chris and Mo, how's it going, guys?
We're doing well. We're not getting ready for bowl games. Well, we're getting ready in our own small way, but but we're not getting ready like you are. But appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule of journalism and motherhood to talk to us for a little bit.
Absolutely. Love it. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I will say it is the craziest time of year. Everyone's like, oh, it's the most wonderful time of year. I'm like, oh, it's the busiest time of year. That's for sure. With all the football games, with, regular jobs, with getting ready for Christmas with an 18-month-old, which is pretty fun. It is certainly a crazy busy time right now with the Titans, rocking towards the finish of the season. But I got to tell you, it's my favorite. By far my favorite time of the year. So busy, but certainly great.
Now, on 3HL, do you sit between Brent and Slay?
No. So our circle, we're basically in a big circle, and we always have been anyway, but especially after COVID, we're still well over 6 feet apart. So at least I've got my space there. But it goes basically Slay, Brent is to the left of Slay, and then I'm to the right of Brent. So that's kind of our circle. So I have plenty of space, but yeah, it's I do not sit in between those. But sometimes I feel like I'm standing in between them and trying to keep them both in line.
Yeah,
it is like the hardest job I've ever had.
That was kind of the point I was trying to get to. I feel like that show probably needs a traffic cop, and you probably come the closest to providing it. So yeah.
Mo, I can't tell you how many times, and you know me because we've covered high school sports for years together. Ever since I moved here, you were one of the first people I met, and I just adore you. But I'm a little bit of a control freak sometimes, right? So I can't tell you how many times in the middle of our show I have sent those two fools a text and said, yo, get back on
track. Cut their mic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they have to do that to me sometimes here, Dawn. Don't Captain Chaos over here. So I'm we have cops here, and I'm definitely not one of them. So I applaud your job.
It's fun though. I tell you what, and you guys know this, like your coworkers matter so much for how much you enjoy your job. And Brent is just amazing. You know him, he's been here forever. And then Slay has just been such a phenomenal addition to our show, to our family, all of it. I didn't know him prior to him hopping on our show, and he's been amazing. He was my spotter, by the way. He was part of history too. So he served as my spotter up in the booth for high school football. And he was like, wait, I'm not allowed to talk up here? I'm like, no. Like, people could hear you through the headphone. No talking. We got hand signals. This is what we're doing. He's like, wait, I can't talk at all. I'm like, no.
I couldn't have done that.
That's hilarious, because I've known Ron since he was in high school, and he's always been that way. When you talk about bringing the energy, that's always been him. And so getting him to not talk, that's a feat in and of itself right there, Dawn Davenport. Going back to the Blue Cross Bowl telecast of that Hampton Westview game that you did, and I was a little stunned when I asked you about becoming the first female to do play-by-play for a televised Blue Cross Bowl, and you responded that you didn't know. I guess it's great that you didn't know, that nobody made a big deal of it, but as you've had a chance to absorb that over the last couple of weeks or so, what is it like knowing that you were the first, and no matter who does it from going forward, you'll always be the first.
Yeah, I had no idea until you told me, and it's pretty cool. And yeah, maybe it is a good thing that it wasn't, a huge deal. I guess I think a lot of people read your article that you wrote, and I got such amazing feedback from people around our community, and maybe it's because a lot of people were surprised that it hadn't happened already, or that it's taken this long, and I was surprised when you told me, because I've always felt like I am a woman in sports who is just benefiting from all those that came before me that had already, kind of cracked that ceiling. And I never thought of myself as one to be doing that, if that makes sense. I just thought other people have done it before me and have helped to pave my path so that I can do what I do. And it's kind of surreal to sit back now after I chatted with you, and now after we're a couple weeks out, and realize, oh, okay, there might have been a girl out there watching saying, oh, that's what I want to do. She's doing it. And that's never happened before. It's crazy to me. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty surreal. And I'm hoping that there'll be plenty of others after me.
Well, you need to get plenty of them out of the way as well, Anna. We really enjoyed listening to that broadcast. Thought you did a phenomenal job. It is not an easy thing to do, as JP will tell you, is doing play-by-play. And, when you, especially when you're trying to describe something that people are watching, it's a little different. Yeah. You can't, on radio, you can say something and maybe you might've been a little wrong, but on television, folks saw it. So you got to get it right. And that's got to be a little concerning when you're up there and making sure everything is done correctly. But, speaking with Dawn Davenport here on Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today, I feel like, Tennessee and Middle Tennessee is starting to become a little more diverse in sports in general. We've always had some pretty good basketball players, but high school football has really kind of come on as a strong suit here. And now you have some of the best pro sports and whatnot. How cool is it to be in Nashville at this time when we're kind of, I guess sprouting now, and we've budded for so long, and now sports are just a massive part of this community.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I kind of have the luxury of being out there and getting people's reaction to Nashville and to the Titans and to what our city is, just with working for ESPN and going, to different cities, talking to different coaches and working different college football games every single week. So I get to see firsthand the reaction, like, oh, where are you from? Oh, you live in Nashville. Oh, wow, the Titans are doing great. Oh, wow, Derrick Henry. Oh, yeah, we've got this kid that we recruited out of Nashville on our roster. There's so much excitement. And every single time you say, I'm from Nashville, just people's eyes light up because they love this city and we're on the map. And that's been a big change. Obviously, I know, Mo, I know you've been here forever. I've been here, 15 years now. And just to see the transition of what this city has become, especially from a sports conversation standpoint. I mean, there's talk of, Major League Baseball team, like Nashville is tops of that list to come here. Like, this city has ingrained itself into the nationwide sports kind of profile. And that is so fun to be a part of it. And then outside of that, we get to live in this city and see all the great people and benefit from how great Middle Tennessee as a whole is and what a great place it is to live. So it's been really fun for me just traveling outside of kind of even the SEC footprint this year, because I worked for SEC Network specifically for the last 3 years. This year I kind of switched to ESPN and did a bunch of ESPN2 games instead. So I've kind of gotten out of the SEC as much. I still got to see some SEC teams, but it's been awesome just to see the reaction of people when you talk Nashville and really the Titans too. A lot of talk on what this football team is doing, because we always talk about how the national media doesn't give the Titans the respect they deserve. And I've been able to kind of see that firsthand, that it's out there.
Yeah, I looked up at the screen and I was out yesterday when Pardon the Interruption was on, and one of their graphics said, "Who do you feel like has a better chance of winning the AFC, the Patriots or the Chiefs?" And I'm like,
What?
Exactly. Maybe the number 1 seed or the number not 2 seed. I mean,
Definitely not the 2.
yeah. So
Right.
it's
Right.
interesting,
You forget
and
about that team in Tennessee.
yeah, and it's just kind of interesting to watch the national. I don't want to sound like Rodney Dangerfield and talk about no respect, but it's just amazing how easily the Titans are explained away over and over and over again on a national level. And, like you said, Dom, by you getting out to some different places and that type thing, you get probably a little bit more opportunity to hear those conversations. But Nashville as a whole is really making an impact sports wise.
Yeah. No doubt. And yeah, I mean, we still see obviously the national nowadays it's, oh, well, Derrick Henry's injured and they don't have him now. And look at the injury. So, there's, you overlook them. Well, they lost their last two before their bye week and they're in this kind of position as a team. So we don't have to talk about that. It's crazy. It's always some kind of excuse. Oh, their quarterback isn't Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. Right. He's not. There's a whole lot of quarterbacks that aren't, but they're good enough. He's good enough. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's crazy. But I also, perfect example, my analyst for my college football crew this year is Kirk Morrison. So lives out in LA, does a bunch of stuff for Sirius with the Rams and all of that. And he immediately, like when we started the season, was like, hey man, Titans are like making moves. Like what Vrabel has done there, what John Robinson has done there, what that organization is nowadays. They're a consistent contender. And of course, the talk about Derrick Henry. So, I think it's happening. The disrespect is still there because there's always an excuse for it, obviously. But I definitely think like the respect is coming when it comes to the Titans because they're consistently getting it done and consistently putting them themselves in a position to be there in the postseason.
Dawn Davenport here on Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Dawn, we've got a couple of minutes left. Tell us about where you're going to be over the next few weeks. I know that you will be in Orlando.
Yes. I'm like, well, hold on. Let me pull up my schedule because I don't even remember which teams I'm working, where I'm going. Yeah. No. Well, my first one, yes, on Friday is the Cure Bowl. So I'm working that. That'll be on, I believe it's ESPN. That's Coastal Carolina taking on Northern Illinois, and
inside of a soccer stadium.
Yes, but it's like you have two teams and two fan bases that are all in on this, right? Like Coastal Carolina has never won a bowl game. They made it to their first one last year where they weren't allowed to have fans, So, I mean, so we're about to walk it. Northern Illinois hasn't won a bowl game since 2011. They just won the MAC. Like, their coach is, I just absolutely adore him in Thomas Hammock. So I feel like, this is kind of a fun one. Everybody's like, oh, kids are opting out of bowl games. They're hitting the transfer portal. They don't care. I'm like, not with these two teams.
These aren't.
Every single one of them are playing. Yeah, they're ready. They want to win. It's important to them. So, yeah, I've got that in Orlando where it's 85 degrees. Yes. And then I'll be in Phoenix doing radio for the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, and then I'll be in Vegas on the 30th for the Las Vegas Bowl, which will be a lot of fun. So I've got all warm places for my bowl destinations, and I cannot tell you how excited I am about that.
Well, we can't tell you how excited we are to have had you, Dawn. Thank you so much for taking time with us today. We appreciate it.
All right. Love you guys. Thank you. Have a great week.
Come back, Brady McAtamney, right after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Festop Markets is a full-service, family-owned convenience store chain located in 14 locations throughout Middle and West Tennessee. For those in our listening area, you can find them in Columbia, Centerville, Lawrenceburg, Spring Hill, Dixon, and White Bluff.
Festop partners with wholesale fuel brands like Shell, Marathon, and Exxon, delivering a consistent customer experience that is fast, friendly, and clean. If it's not already, it will soon become your go-to store to shop in town or on the road. Festop Markets is proud to be keeping you moving in Tennessee.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ned Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Local sports talk you'll only find here. It's Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Live from the Lee Company studio with the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, here's Chris Yao.
Welcome back in Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I don't know why I was nervous introducing Dawn in the last segment, but not nearly as nervous this time. Sorry, Brady. But
ouch.
I don't know. It's not every day that you get
rough.
It's not every day you get to talk to the first female who broadcasts a Blue Cross Bowl telecast. Mo, I got to tell you this, and Brady McAtamney is on the line with us, and he's going to talk some Clarksville area hoops here in just a second. But the Spartan fan, Brady, the Michigan Stater, thought he was going to find out today whether or not five-star offensive tackle Keonta Goodwin was going to join his team up in East Lansing. And kid has a press conference, puts the hats on the table, Michigan State and Kentucky, says, "Oh, I'm not signing today, but I do want to announce that I have a NIL deal with Takis, and I'm committing to snacks."
Oh,
he didn't say the last part, but
wow.
Did not commit to a school, but definitely committed to snacks. Yeah. So he's got all these chips on the table.
He's a big boy, so he needs to snack every now and then.
Dude is massive, and it's so funny. There's just a big Takis like sign behind him. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Man has got his priorities straight, huh?
Oh man, that's phenomenal. Man, Brady, welcome in. Thanks for joining us. Brady McAtamney from Main Street Preps up in the Clarksville area. What's going on, buddy?
Not too much, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Well, Nobody better to talk Clarksville hoops than the guy who's there all the time. Like, dude, you are. It's like every night I see some pictures and game threads from you.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of good basketball up here. A lot of teams to cover, and I enjoy getting to those games. I've got good relationships with a lot of the coaches up here. A lot of good basketball players that are going fun to watch every single night. And if I'm going to see all of them, I got to be active. So I like to catch as many games as I can.
Man's out there grinding. And like you said, Clarksville's got some really good basketball, and they've had some pretty good basketball for a pretty good while. Big game coming up later this week as one of our teams comes up that way. Columbia Academy will take on host Clarksville Academy in a holiday tournament situation on Friday over at CA North, I guess.
That's right, yeah.
Brady, tell us a little bit about that Clarksville Academy team, because it sounds like, from keeping up with you on Twitter and that kind of thing, they've gotten off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, they're a pretty good basketball team. Looking at their record, you wouldn't necessarily see it. And their head coach, Tyler Hickman, he's a former coach at Centennial, was brought up before last season to coach Clarksville Academy. He said that they're not worried about their non-district record because they played some very good basketball teams. They had a really close game against Beach, really close game against Pope John Paul, a really close game against West Creek, one of the public schools up here. But they've also won some pretty big games. But they're led by a 3-star recruit, junior Eddie Ricks, a 5'7", believe it or not, kind of a guard. He's very long, very good scorer, very bouncy. He's always good for a couple of dunks at night to get the gym a little bit rowdy. But they've got some very good pieces around him as well. A lot of football players as well. Guys like Keith Richford, who was one of my all-district football players. He's a very good rebounder, scorer, post in the paint. A really good freshman point guard named Trey Rideau. He's going to be a guy who's playing good basketball here for a while. Really, they're a good athletic basketball team. There's not a lot of holes. It's really just a matter of whether they're showing up to play every single night, because they have had games where they kind of played their opponents. But when they're playing their best basketball, they're a very, very good team.
You mentioned their record. Looks like they're about 4-4, right around 500. But two of their losses, lost a 62-60 decision to Beach, and a
buzzer beater,
and a 62-61 loss to Pope Prep. So they are certainly playing the top competition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course that's by design. They want to give their guys experience against this top competition, because they're going to be facing some good teams in district play. Of course, they'll be going through Good Pasture, who we know is one of the better teams in the mid-state, if not in Tennessee. So they want to prepare for teams like that, because they know that when they're playing their best basketball, they can compete with teams like that, and they want to go as far as they can.
Brady, one of the teams that kind of splashed onto the scene last year was Rossview, who, had a district championship. They hosted a region tournament game, but then, well, they lost everybody. So
yeah,
they kind of had to start over. How does a program like that, completely change every single player on the team almost, including Defensive Player of the Year, Ronald Jessamy? How do they bounce back and repeat that success from last year?
Well, it's not easy. I'll tell you that. Yeah, like you said, losing Ronald Jessamy, he actually led the state last year in blocks per game as a sophomore. That kid was just he's a massive force, both in size and in impact. He transferred to a school, I believe, in West Virginia. Of course, that hurts for them, losing a guy of that quality. I believe I heard from a fan last year that as a sophomore in high school, he wore a size 19 shoe. That doesn't even sound real, man. I mean, that's just insane. Yeah, but they lost a lot of other good players as well. A lot of seniors who were good leaders for that program. You know, Rossview was kind of one of those teams last year that they didn't necessarily have, you know, the best players, you know, outside of Jessamy, who was the first team guy for me. Outside of him, they didn't really have like the best players, but they were a very cohesive unit led by seniors that just played, you know, good basketball. So losing that, they lose, you know, just kind of a lot of that maturity in big games. They've still got some good players. Their point guard, Ty Butler, is a good player. They've got kid Julian Hatfield, who's pretty big down in the post. They brought in a football player, Seneca Bradley, who I believe is mulling over some potential D1 offers in football. He's huge. That's a big kid. He plays tight end and defensive end for them. So he's good. He's a good kind of replacement post presence. But they're going to have to, you know, get better as the season goes on. It seems like they have done that. They've played some good games with Station Camp, Kenwood, you know, some good basketball teams. But they definitely have a long way to go if they're going to kind of replicate that success they had last year.
You mentioned there's a lot of good basketball up in the Clarksville area, and that's just, I mean, it's kind of always been that way, I guess, Mo. Clarksville's always been a kind of a hotbed for talent, and that typically means you have some pretty good teams. Who do you feel like is the class of the Clarksville area?
Well, looking at the boys' side right now, before the season, I would have said Clarksville Academy. But, you know, we talked, they've taken a couple lumps early this season. Of course, those were very close games. But right now, I would say it's probably Clarksville High. Now, this is a team that went to state last year. They gave eventual champion Houston their toughest game of their state tournament run. You know, it was really kind of a surprise run by them because they only ran about a six-man lineup. They didn't really have anyone other than 6'3", 6'4", so they were a pretty small team. But they just played great basketball. You know, they lost 4 starters from that team, but they've retained their best player, JJ Wheat, who is just an incredible point guard. This is a guy who should be playing college basketball in a year from now. And he's just one of those guys that makes everyone around him better. They've got some good players around him as well. Not quite as good as last year, but they're definitely going to be a team that they're already really good. I don't even know if they have a loss yet. I don't have their record in front of me. Now I'll be able to settle that debate between Clarksville and Clarksville Academy very soon because those teams actually play tomorrow. Mo mentioned that holiday tournament, and they're playing each other tomorrow. So it won't take long to really see who is the best team.
There you go. And on the girls' side, who is kind of standing out there?
Well, kind of a similar story. Before the season, I would have said Northwest because they went to Sub-State last year, played a good Page team, and lost that game by about 10 points. Also lost to Lebanon by about 10 points. So close games against premier programs.
I'm just glad to hear somebody say Sub-State. Because whenever I say it, somebody wants to correct me. They're sectionals. No, they're sub-states. So thank you, Brady. I appreciate that. Do continue.
I got you, man. So anyway, yeah. So I would have said Northwest before the season. But last week they played Rossview, and Rossview is just traditionally a very good basketball program. They're not necessarily on that same level as Lebanon. But they're, kind of a tier below that, I would say. And Rossview beat them by like 25 points. So Rossview right now is absolutely the best team. Kind of a reverse situation of their boys team where instead of losing everybody, they brought pretty much everybody back, including Eastern Illinois commit Sidney James Roach. They've got, basically everything they need. I talked to their coach after that win against Northwest. I asked them if it feels like that there's anything that their team is lacking. And he just goes, no, not really. I think we've got everything we need. So that kind of tells you just kind of how complete that team is.
It's unusual to hear a coach say that, especially this early in the year. Oh, no, we're good. We're a complete team.
Yeah, exactly.
Just got to keep doing what we're doing. That almost never happens. Wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Again, and I just wanted to kind of get you on the show here to talk about it because, Columbia Academy does travel to Clarksville Academy this week. And, just kind of getting our heads around Middle Tennessee basketball right now. I mean, we just kind of got out of football, and I know you've been in basketball for quite some time now. I guess after Clarksville, they lost in the semifinals? Is that right?
Clarksville lost in, I guess, around
quarters.
Quarterfinals, I want to say.
Yeah,
They lost to beat pretty bad. They lost
That's
to
right.
Beach, and Montgomery Central lost to Tullahoma the same road.
Well, losing to Tullahoma, not a bad thing. If you're going to lose to somebody, lose to the champ.
Yeah, no shame in that.
That's what I say. No, we're just kind of trying to get our heads around what's going on in the Middle Tennessee area. And you guys are doing a fantastic job up there at Main Street Clarksville, mainstreetclarksville.com, mainstreetpreps.com. I know that you are looking forward to getting to some other holiday tournaments. What have you got on the schedule over the holidays here? We got about 2 minutes.
Oh boy. So like we talked about, that West Creek tournament, that Clarksville Academy tournament, West Creek will be there, Clarksville will be there, Clarksville Academy will be there, obviously Columbia Academy will be there, along with some other teams in the area. I know we got teams playing in a Todd Central tournament for anyone that might happen to be in that area. Northeast is going to be going to Gallatin. I believe Clarksville Academy might be going to Florida.
They are. They're playing in the Panama City tournament after Christmas. I was going to see if you were stowing away.
Yeah. I wish I could travel along with them, because Florida would not be a bad place to be this time of year. But instead, I'm going to be in the opposite direction. I'm going to be up north in Michigan, where we'll probably get some snow instead of sunlight. Rossview is going to be playing in the tournament over at Henry County. I mentioned that Gallatin tournament, Northeast playing Hendersonville on the girls' side, and the Northeast boys are going to be playing there as well. It's a lot of good stuff. I think Rockville having something. There's a lot of these to keep up with, but definitely a lot of basketball around the state during the holidays.
Brady McAtamney here from Main Street Preps, Main Street Clarksville. Thanks for taking some time with us today, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks, Chris and Mo.
You got it. When we come back, we are going to talk about some NLIs, not NILs, but also maybe some NILs. So stick around. Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today returns after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Festop Markets is a full-service, family-owned convenience store chain located in 14 locations throughout Middle and West Tennessee. For those in our listening area, you can find them in Columbia, Centerville, Lawrenceburg, Spring Hill, Dixon, and White Bluff.
Festop partners with wholesale fuel brands like Shell, Marathon, and Exxon, delivering a consistent customer experience that is fast, friendly, and clean. If it's not already, it will soon become your go-to store to shop in town or on the road. Festop Markets is proud to be keeping you moving in Tennessee.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ned Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
preps to pros and everything in between, it's Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Live from the Lee Company studio. With the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, here's Chris Young.
Welcome back in. Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Hour number 2 on radio. Not quite the second hour on the podcast. I guess there's 2 podcasts, aren't there, JP? It's the top of the second podcast.
Technically, it is. Well, it's the hour 2.
It's the hour 2 podcast.
It's the hour 2 podcast because it's the hour 2 of our on air.
Which reminds me, if you missed any part of the show, don't forget, you can go back and listen at your leisure on the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you are so inclined to see our pretty faces, you can watch the video on Twitter. I don't know if you can watch it on Facebook right now. Apparently it's down.
Facebook may have a hiccup at the moment.
Yeah. So
an extended hiccup.
There's that. So you can watch us on YouTube and on Twitter for sure. So check us out there. Don't forget, obviously, MainStreetMurray.com, where you can find the most timely and comprehensive sports coverage specifically in the area, but also some great news on there as well. And, of course, MainStreetPreps.com, keeping you updated across the mid-state. A story you just posted 23 minutes ago, Mo. Want to send our condolences out to the family of Nick Dale, former Zion Christian softball coach. Soccer coach. I'm sorry.
Bigger ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
Different colors.
Yeah. Died at his home at the age of 37. Not clear on the details at this point, but certainly an unfortunate occurrence and a tragic loss. He and his wife Rachel had 3 kids. The youngest, a little girl, 1-year-old Amelia, and 12-year-old Eli, who he was getting ready to coach in middle school soccer out at Culleoka this spring. And then 15-year-old Tristan is a freshman at Culleoka. So tough situation for the family there. And spoke at length to Chaz Mulder, mayor of Columbia, regarding Nick's passing, and he was familiar with them both from a professional standpoint, from a personal standpoint, and just a great loss for the community. He was Nick was very active with the local rec soccer league and touched a lot of players and families through his involvement with that. And in addition to his, scholastic coaching, again, he had coached out at Zion Christian, was going to coach at Culleoka at the middle school level this spring. So great loss for the community here with the passing of Nick Dale.
No question there. Again, our condolences to the Dale family. Mo, as we get into early signing day, Tennessee has now signed an incredible class of defensive linemen. This is insane. Joshua Josephs, who is one of the top edge rushers in the country, switched from Georgia. I'm sorry, that was Tyre. Switches from Georgia.
I'm thinking that's Tyree.
I think it's Tyre. I don't know.
You think
it's probably Tyree. Either way,
mm-hmm.
They flip a kid that was headed to Georgia. They get top 24/7 edge rusher Joshua Josephs, and surprisingly, they weren't expecting James Pierce Jr. to also sign today, a 4-star edge rusher. 5-star, 2 4-stars at the defensive line.
And, as you watch that Tennessee team all fall, you felt like that was where they needed to come up, was on the defensive side of the ball. And clearly they figured that out as well and are reacting accordingly. So some guys that can get on the field pretty quick, you would think.
Then you've got four-star running back Justin Williams out of East Paulding, Georgia, which, by the way,
East Paulding.
That's right.
Isn't that where our guy is?
That's where
Roger Holmes?
Yes, that is where Roger Holmes is at.
Wing T disciple, Roger Holmes. Yeah.
Yeah, Justin Williams choosing Tennessee over Auburn. So, I mean, look.
I guess once he heard Tank Bigsby was coming back, it's like, oh, well, all right.
We'll try
Let me do something else.
And Tennessee's top running back, Ty Edmonds, is gone.
Has he landed?
I don't think so. But yeah, so kind of a big day for Tennessee. They started out in, close to the top 25.
Tyon Evans signed with Louisville today.
Okay. Good for him. Just a big day for Tennessee. I think they ended up jumping like 10 or 12 spots at one time. So got to give it up to Josh Heupel and his staff. But also, let's give a hand to Vanderbilt, who put together a really good staff today.
Really good staff?
How about a few?
Really good class. I'm sorry.
Okay. How about a few hands?
I mean, I wasn't necessarily expecting a big class from Clark Lee this year, but it certainly appears the Commodores have at least come up pretty big in a couple of instances. I know they ended up keeping a guy who had flirted with Tennessee a little bit. And to be honest with you, I'm surprised that they were able to do so, considering.
I'll take that.
But that's it. I mean, that's
31st right now, I think.
That's a big win.
Yeah, and they're not last in the SEC. You know who is?
Florida.
And do you know where they are?
They're not ranked.
77th.
Yeah, they're not ranked.
77th. Beatty's 31st. How about Kentucky, though? Number 11. Ahead of Tennessee.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, I'm not surprised by that. I mean, Mo, are you surprised at all that Kentucky has been able to put together such a great class?
No, not at all. I mean, I think Mark Stoops has really established himself there. He's stiff-armed some other programs and some offers and that kind of thing. I think Kentucky, I don't want to say has overachieved, but they are achieving at a level that program has not sustainably achieved at ever, maybe.
Not for this length of time.
Yeah, and I think folks see that across the region and certainly here locally. With 3 signees out of the Nashville/Middle Tennessee area.
Elijah Herring from Riverdale headed to Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
That's big. My favorite one, I think, my favorite signing of the day comes out of Clay Chalkville, which we talked about. Tennessee gets Marquarius White, better known as Squirrel. That's right. Squirrel
Where
White.
else was he going to go than Tennessee?
I don't know that I'd be anywhere near.
No, you can't give yourself a rim shot.
I don't know about that. I don't know that I would want to be.
No?
Yeah, I mean, literally, Davy Crockett and Smokey kind of.
David Crockett.
Well,
actually, up there, they probably
call
Davy.
Yeah.
The school is David Crockett.
Yes.
For what it's worth. But yeah.
But I mean, with the Crockett and the Hound, I don't know that I'd want to be a squirrel on Rocky Top. But apparently, Marquarius Squirrel White did, and he is headed.
What's he play?
He is a wide receiver.
Okay. So he must be quick like a squirrel.
He can
Yeah.
juke. I just hope he can make up his mind. Unlike the squirrel this morning on my driveway.
Oh goodness.
There you go.
who just kept going back and forth and couldn't figure it out.
Okay.
Pick a direction, squirrel.
Oh man. All right. We got 4 minutes left and we got to talk about this. I didn't want to, but here we are. Coach Prime.
Why didn't you
Jackson's-
want to talk about it?
Because we're going to get into yelling at people, and I always like yelling at people, but
There's no need to yell at people because the people.
we're yelling at Doug Gottlieb. Come on.
Why?
Because he's an idiot.
He is an idiot, but why yell at him?
Huh?
I mean, just kind of. Sometimes you just got to take it that they're idiots and go on. But
The number one or number two, depending on who you listen to, overall recruit in the 2022 class, headed to Florida State. Oh, wait, just kidding. Cornerback Travis Hunter chooses to play at Jackson State for Coach Prime.
and Coach Prime, formerly known as Deion Sanders, who played what?
I think he was a
Mhm.
cornerback.
And
Maybe.
he is now in what?
He has some weird colored jacket like Scooter McGavin. Shooter.
Shooter.
McGavin.
Yeah, Shooter
McGavin.
McAtamney.
Why would a aspiring NFL cornerback want to play college football for a coach who reached the NFL Hall of Fame as a cornerback?
Well, is that why? Or is he going for the $1 million that Barstool's giving him?
C, both the above. But
Yeah, there's all of that.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Listen, he was going to get money no matter where he went.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I think Bo's right. I mean, let's not overthink this. And, he obviously, based on what he tweeted out, recognizes the historical element of the historically black colleges and what that means and what Coach Prime is trying to do. Part of the reason he went there, he obviously understands that dynamic and appreciates it. And so arguably the greatest cornerback of all time in the NFL.
I'm not sure it's arguable.
May not be.
I think it's a long way from first to second. And I'm not a huge Deion fan, but
GOAT.
He was different.
He made you play 10 on 10
Mhm.
when he was playing. And so anybody who wants to get to that level and has the opportunity to go play for him, why would you not? And so when Doug Gottlieb says Twitter celebrating a kid making an obvious mistake is hilarious.
It's not a mistake, period.
It's not a mistake. It's certainly not an obvious mistake. And why is it a mistake at all? I mean, there's just so much there. There's so much stupidity wrapped up in that tweet. And Doug is saying so much about himself that I really don't want to get into. But shut down your account.
He could do worse. Yeah, I'm happy for this kid. I think HBCUs, and I've been saying this since Coach Prime took over, they're not going to get the TV deals that Power Fives are going to get. They're not going to get the television time that they would have gotten had he gone to Florida State. But that doesn't matter to the NFL.
That's correct.
And the ultimate goal is the NFL and an education.
And if you can get the NIL at a place like Jackson State,
Why
where
not?
that might be the scale of why you go to a Power Five, is that you get more exposure for that NIL. But if he's already getting it, it's all about the pros, baby.
And as big as this is for Jackson State, it might be just as big for Florida State losing him.
It might be. I'm excited to see how it works out. I think Coach Prime has worked out better than I expected. Put it that way. When we come back, Scott Stidham, new Independence football coach, joins us. So stick around after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Festop Markets is a full-service, family-owned convenience store chain located in 14 locations throughout Middle and West Tennessee. For those in our listening area, you can find them in Columbia, Centerville, Lawrenceburg, Spring Hill, Dixon, and White Bluff.
Festop partners with wholesale fuel brands like Shell, Marathon, and Exxon, delivering a consistent customer experience that is fast, friendly, and clean. If it's not already, it will soon become your go-to store to shop in town or on the road. Festop Markets is proud to be keeping you moving in Tennessee.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ned Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Covering the teams you care about. It's Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Once again, live from the Lee Company studio with the Hall of Famer Mo Patton. Here's Chris Yao.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back into Wild and Wacky Wednesday right here on Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, as we continue on this fantastic show we've had. If you missed any part of the show, again, you can go back and watch the video cast on Facebook and Twitter. You can listen to us on your podcast platform of choice. It's broken up into 2 hours, by the way. Dawn Davenport joined us earlier in the show, as well as Brady McAtamney. Now, brand new, and I know he's excited. We got about 10 minutes with him, Mo, so we got to make it quick. Brand new Independence coach Scott Stidham joins us now. Coach, welcome in. Thanks for joining us. Glad to have you in Southern Middle Tennessee.
Well, I really appreciate you having us. You're right. We're really excited about this great opportunity at Independence.
Scott, coming over from South Gibson County over in Medina, not Medina.
Not Funky
not
Cove.
Not Funky Cove.
Right.
No, Medina.
That's right.
Was on the staff from that school's inception in 2009. And when we spoke earlier today, you said that you weren't necessarily looking to leave.
I wasn't. I had a good job, one that means a lot to me, and it was going to take a special place to get me to be interested in leave. And Independence checked all those boxes. My youngest son, our family grew up at South Gibson. Our daughter was a cheerleader. Our son, she graduated, and then our oldest son graduated 2 years ago and played football. And then our youngest just finished his senior year. So the timing just seemed right for a special opportunity. But it was going to take something special, but we got it here without a doubt.
I feel quite certain that you and the Independence boys basketball coach talked a little bit about this situation. What kind of intel were you getting from former South Gibson boys basketball coach Mark Wilkins on this situation as it was developing?
Well, we talked a lot even before this. We worked together for 6 years and had a great relationship. My two sons played basketball for him, so we have a friendship in addition to a professional relationship. So he told me about it when our season was ended. I'd seen that Coach Slade had resigned, and we talked about it. But it really just he just told me the details, told me he thought it was a great spot. He absolutely loves it there. And Dr. Patton and the administration there, it's top notch. And that's all Coach Wilkins kept telling me, is it is a really special place with great people. And he didn't lie to me. Everything he told me was spot on when I got there and got a chance to meet everybody.
Coach, I know you talked to your team earlier today. I know that had to be a unique experience. You've not talked to a different group of kids in quite some time. How did that meeting go?
Well, I'll tell you, 2 days ago, I talked to the South Gibson kids and told them I was leaving, and that wasn't very much fun. And there's some I'm sure there's some that were mad and some were sad. And I think if you coach the right ways, that's how it should be when you leave. So today's meeting was a lot more fun than that one. I can tell you that. There's just a lot of excitement there and getting to know me, and I tried to ease some of their concerns about me and about what we're going to do in the program. And I guess my main message was that, number one, we want them to grow as people more than just football players. We're going to develop relationships with them. And then the second big one, it's not my program, it's ours. And we're going to do this together. So we are just really excited about everything about it and the opportunity to be here.
Well, when we saw that you had resigned at South Gibson, I put out, or I had said something, I think right after the show, I was like, Mo, this is an interesting coincidence.
Yeah.
So, it's nice to see.
We know a little something, huh?
Sometimes, you know.
Speaking with new Independence football coach Scott Stidham here on Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Scott, it's not every new football coach that gets to walk into a program that has a Power 5 commit. How do you use the tight end?
Well, I told them that going in, obviously you don't get that every year. And so you're going to find a way to get him the ball. That's what I told him today. And I'm looking forward to getting to know him, as a person. What kind of young man is he, and how can we help him become a better player and a better person and prepare him for the bright future he has. So there's a lot of ways. The tight ends in the NFL are being used a lot of different ways. And I can promise you this, we're going to find some way to get our best guys to football and give us a chance to be successful on every Friday.
You mentioned, Scott, Region 7-6A. From the outside looking in, kind of looks like the SEC West. I can tell you from the inside looking out, it kind of looks that way too. I mean, when you look and your closest region rival just went to the state finals a couple of weeks ago, and then you've got a state finalist in 2020 also. Got a former state championship team in Ravenwood. and this region is not for the faint of heart.
No, it's really not. Every Friday, you better show up and be ready to play, because it's going to be a challenge every Friday night, and it's a whole different level, obviously, than what we've been coaching. But it was similar to where we were in South Gibson, where we were playing the Haywoods, we were playing the Mylands, we were playing all those teams that we had to try to beat. So very similar to that, but it's a whole new level of what we're talking about in 6A football in Williamson County is something special. And but if you're a competitor, you want to challenge yourself against the best, and that's what we're going to have to do starting in August.
Coach, you talk about having Nash just having graduated, and this is sort of a new start for you. And how is that going to be different for you? Obviously coming into a new program, but also maybe not having the familiarity with the kids, especially not having yours.
Well, fortunately, I've coached a long time before I got to coach my two sons, and hopefully I'll be able to coach a long time after. So but the familiarity is key in developing relationships. Football is not just about X's and O's and everything else. We got to develop relationships with these young guys and help them in life. And so one of the things I was most excited about was the opportunity to start in January and be there at school with them and start our off-season program. And those are things that's where you build a football team. Football doesn't start on August 19th. It starts in January when we get back from Christmas break. So that's something I'm most excited about. It's a fresh start for them and myself. And the assistant coaches that I met today, we're just excited to get going and put our stamp on already. Coach Blade did a great job, and he won a state championship not long ago in 5A. So just the opportunity to be around something special, something we're really excited about, ready to get going.
What do you feel like is I guess, how does your style fit what Independence has done? They've kind of built a style at Independence. Do you feel like you fit that, or
Sure.
Are you going to kind of bring your own spin, or completely just blow things up and start over?
Well, I told them today we're not blowing anything up, but it needs to be. I got hired to be the football coach. I have to do what's comfortable for me. But the number one thing we need to do is get our kids in the best position to be successful on Friday. And that's what we felt like we did at South Gibson. And we're not going to run my offense. We're not going to run my defense. We're going to run ours. And what is best for us to get our kids in a position to make plays. So for me to sit here and say, hey, we're going to run this offense without ever seeing, I met the personnel. I shook a bunch of hands and hugged some kids I'm excited about coaching, but I don't have any clue what they can do. And we're going to give them an opportunity to show us and put them in a position to make a lot of plays on Friday and have fun doing it.
With that in mind, Scott, I'm always curious. Do you go back and look at film under of what Independence did under Blade, or do you just step out there in conditioning and workouts and that kind of thing and see what you see?
I will watch some in this case just because I'm not familiar enough with what we're getting into. And it'll probably be more study of the region we're getting into and some of their opponents. But I'll watch them, and I'll be, I got curious and was excited while I was waiting for this announcement. I watched some of the kids' huddle highlights that they had posted. And so I saw some kids that were really good football players that have a high ceiling, and I'm looking forward to getting to work with them and help develop them to make them even better.
That's what you like to hear, Coach. When new coaches come in, it's always something different. I think the Independence community is looking forward to it. Again, they, new girls basketball coach, new boys basketball coach. Now we've got a new football coach. It's kind of a new dawn for the Thompson Station School, and looking forward to getting a chance to get to know you and your staff. And speaking of that staff, have you got any idea how that's going to shape up?
Well, I met the assistant coaching staff today, and I told them I wanted just to put a face with a name because I'm going to be contacting them, and I want to talk to every one of them and see some of them hope are interested in staying with us and just see if they're the right fit and what we're going to do. And then we've got some. I'll tell you this: I still haven't checked all my messages, but I've already got a lot of messages from people that want to come just since 1 o'clock today, because Williamson County is a special place and a lot of people want to be here. But we're going to take our time doing that and put the right pieces to the puzzle. And the number one thing we're looking for is in football coaches, people who love kids, because we want loving kids first, and then we want loyal guys that work hard. So if you love kids and develop that relationship with them, they're a lot more fun to coach and they enjoy it more. And they're going to play harder for you.
Coach, we appreciate it. And thanks so much for taking some time with us today. I want to get you off here so that you can get to your coaches meeting. But again, we thank you so much. We're excited about what you're going to be doing at Independence, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. We're excited to be here and really appreciate you guys having us on.
Absolutely. That is Scott Stidham, brand new football coach at Independence High School. That's exciting, Mo. I'm excited to watch this program because, again, like you said, man, it is 100% SEC West when you're talking about, this Region 7 6A.
It's interesting. When I spoke to Scott earlier this morning, he said that not sure how smart it is coming in behind Scott Blade. And as he mentioned, won a state championship, finished second the year after that, went 74-37 in 9 seasons. So, I mean, the bar has kind of been set.
I would just like to mention one of his quotes. And I got to find it here. He said, as a competitor, you want to see what you can do. So going from South Gibson, quarterfinal appearance, as a competitor, you want to play against the best competition you can play against, unless you're Alcoa.
I kind of knew you were going there.
You knew I was going there.
But then you kind of faked me out. You were kind of going there, and then you veered off, and then you came back hard. So
it's called a counter.
It was a down, out, and up.
Yeah, it was a double move. Move.
Yeah. Good job.
I'm excited. I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and looking forward to Independence. Scott Blade was a phenomenal coach. Just really an offensive mind like I had never seen. And he had some great athletes that came through that program, but he also made some of those athletes great.
And I'm just going to tell you this. Hats off to Nikki Patton. She went and got one, and she went and got one before that. And everybody that works at Independence loves their administration, which means they love Nikki Patton. And she's done a great job of building a culture there and makes it a lot easier to hire folks.
It is easy to hire folks when you've got your other employees doing the recruiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying. When we come back, it's Wild and Wacky Wednesday. Wild and weird news from across the world. Right after this, stick around. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Festop Markets is a full-service, family-owned convenience store chain located in 14 locations throughout Middle and West Tennessee. For those in our listening area, you can find them in Columbia, Centerville, Lawrenceburg, Spring Hill, Dixon, and White Bluff.
Festop partners with wholesale fuel brands like Shell, Marathon, and Exxon, delivering a consistent customer experience that is fast, friendly, and clean. If it's not already, it will soon become your go-to store to shop in town or on the road. Festop Markets is proud to be keeping you moving in Tennessee.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ned Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
It's Wild and Wacky Wednesday on Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today with the two zaniest guys this side of the Duck River. It's like you joined a circus or something. Here's Chris and Mo.
Welcome back in Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Oh, man. What a day it's been. Again, if you missed any of this show, shame on you. No, go back and listen at your leisure on the podcast platform of your choice. Just search SM-TN Sports Today. SM-TN Sports Today. You'll find us. You can also find our video cast at SM_TN Sports on Twitter. And of course, Southern Middle Tennessee Sports on Facebook. Mo, it's National Signing Day. If you were signing a national letter of intent, where would you have signed? You could pick anywhere. What school would you sign to today?
Today.
You had an offer from every school in the country.
I'd sign with San Diego State.
Talking about see? Not only are they a good enough program to get you in the top 25, but it's San Diego.
That's it. I always said if I were ever recruited athletically, I'd probably take my visits to like Hawaii, San Diego State, Miami, Florida State, and some other warm weather school, and then go to none of the five.
Just pick one. Well, I mentioned this to you in off air, but we have to talk about the hashtag from Middle Tennessee State.
I don't know who came up with it because
I don't either.
There doesn't seem to be anybody over there that's rocking it like that. But,
well, I'm here to tell you that hashtag riding on 22s.
Now, is it riding or is it riding?
It's riding
with a G.
With a G.
Oh, boom.
Yeah, they kind of missed as you just said, don't have anybody over that's rolling like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. At least you tried.
At least you tried. I mean, look.
I like it though.
Look at this. I'm not sure.
What is it? That's a
It's not an Impala.
No, that's a Plymouth. Is it a Barracuda, JP?
I'm not the car guy. Maybe a Charger.
No, it's not a Dodge.
That is a Plymouth.
That's like a 70s Plymouth.
Well, then a Barracuda, maybe what?
Yeah, that's
the only
slick.
70s
It
Plymouth.
really is solid. I mean, I'm going to give them that.
Yeah, I like that. That's something you'd put on 22s.
Yeah. You would definitely put 22s on that. So
did you get it? Did that show up on camera? Could people see that?
I think it did. I will retweet. Well, I can't retweet it because it is on MTFB_recruiting's Twitter, but it's their Twitter header, and it's phenomenal.
It's either a Barracuda or a Roadrunner.
Either one.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's top notch.
It is. Oh, man. Well, I guess if you had a Plymouth Barracuda or Roadrunner, this first wild and wacky story of the day
is for you.
I mentioned, I mentioned the Red House commercial, and Robbie texted me. He was like, "At the Red House." I was like, "Yes." Glad you caught that. Wilmington, Delaware, Associated Press story. A highway sign that recently went up in Delaware was noticeably missing a letter in the state's name.
Oh, no.
It was just Delaware. Delaware Avenue. Transportation Department and its contractor say the sign was always meant to be temporary and has been replaced. Oh, yeah. It was definitely just, that's.
Even if it was meant to be permanent, it has been replaced.
It's been replaced.
Yeah. You have one job.
Apparently, Exit 7 was closed for construction, and a subcontractor hurriedly made a placeholder sign after learning the permanent one might not arrive in time for when the northbound exit was scheduled to reopen.
Oh, nothing like the placeholder.
The blunder was discovered after
Context
the sign was
here.
installed. Well, no kidding.
Yeah.
It's not clear how long the error was up before it was covered Wednesday, and the permanent sign was delivered earlier this week. So the one with the missing A was switched out. Now, I'm just going to, well, some people joked on social media, Delaware is how locals pronounce the name anyway. That's like if your sign said Chevrolet, it'd be okay.
Phonetically? Yeah. How would you spell that, by the way?
How would you spell?
Just like they do.
Chevrolet.
Shebvul. That's how they spell it.
Chevrolet.
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 Yep.
Chevrolet.
Yep.
Down there in Chevrolet.
Like Henryville.
Right. There's no
Exactly.
extra L in Shelbyville.
Chevrolet.
Exactly. No L.
I want a celebration.
Like Delaware.
Delaware.
Anyway, the transportation department said that, oh, by the way, we were just trying to test y'all to see who noticed it. Which is the perfect excuse.
Age-old excuse.
There you
Just
go.
wanted to make sure you were paying attention.
Hey, listen, that's a solid excuse, especially considering Carter's Creek Pike out here, where the people, the truck drivers who don't read 10 foot 10 inches.
Not 11
The
foot.
bridge is 10 foot 10 inches. If your truck is bigger than 10 foot 10 inches, you cannot fit under the bridge. Stop trying.
As Jim Hamilton found out this morning.
The darn Piggly Wiggly truck.
Why was a Piggly Wiggly? Where was he going?
There was a wreck on 65, apparently. So there were folks trying to go around it.
Detour.
Okay.
Yep. Get you every time.
Every time. Well, I guess that explains why when I was coming back from Independence, I had to turn off at Kreitz Lane and go around that way because 31 was still backed up.
Well, 31's always backed up at Spring Hill in the middle of the day.
No, it was a different kind of backed up.
The spite light in Thompson Station is going to get you no matter what. Always go Kreitz to 431. That's the best way.
There you go. Clearly.
Oh, how do you guys feel about mountain climbing? You guys fans? Would you ever climb a mountain?
To each their own.
So what?
No, I have no desire to do that.
No. I'm not into heights. So, no.
Well, professional explorer Leo Holding, I guess it's like Houlding, is no stranger to climbing. He's been doing it since he was 10 years old. Has made many major expeditions across the globe, including to the summit of Mount Everest.
Wow.
That's pretty great.
Don't get any higher than that.
Well, unless you're 3 or 10 years old, like his children who just climbed a mountain on their own. 3 years old.
On their own.
Yeah, they celebrated Leo's 40th birthday by having his two children, Jackson and Freya, do exactly what he loves most: climbing cool mountains and exploring new lands. The family spent 4 days together scaling the north ridge of Pizbadile. Pizbadile?
Go with it.
Part of the picturesque Alps on the border of Switzerland and Italy. Despite being only 3 and 7 years old, Jackson and Freya successfully climbed the nearly 11,000 foot tall mountain, Freya becoming the youngest person to climb the mountain unaided. And Jackson was the youngest person to ever make it to the top.
Now, what does unaided mean?
Without being carried, I guess.
Yeah.
They actually
They just walked on their own 2 feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, yeah.
Or on whatever mountain climbers walk up on.
True.
Yeah.
Spike shoes. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
This is insane.
Good for them.
That is insane.
I mean, hey.
More power to them, though.
You do you.
Mind your world.
All I can say. Man, some of these folks are just. I'm afraid of heights, so I don't know that I could ever. I don't know that I could ever do anything that wild. I take that back. I'm not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of falling. There's a difference, I guess.
I'm not necessarily afraid of heights. I just don't like heights, and I avoid heights whenever possible.
Doesn't one beget the other?
Yes and no. I'm not afraid of an airplane.
Yeah, but you're locked in a.
Yeah, but that's still high.
That's true. When you look out, you don't.
That doesn't bother me.
So it's only open air.
Yeah, so like I don't cross the
potential
swinging
of
bridge at Rock City.
Okay.
Man.
Zero chance that's happening.
I mean, I didn't know it was an anxiety attack at the time, but looking back, that's probably what it was when I crossed the swinging bridge at Rock City.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
All right.
Not a fun time for you, Mo, huh?
No, not at all. And it was supposed to be, but no.
And the older I get, Fat Man Squeeze becomes not nearly as fun as it used to be.
No, I'm just not going.
Yeah. It's the same principle as the sign says 10 feet,
10
inches, not 11 feet.
It's just not. It's
Fat Man
only so
Squeeze,
big, and you
hello.
can't move rocks.
Fat Man Squeeze.
No.
I mean, what am I?
Know your role. Know your role.
Yeah.
Do your job.
Shoot.
Mo, I asked you earlier if you could go back to college and pick a school, which one you would go to. Well, a 48-year-old Missouri woman decided that's exactly what she wanted to do. So instead of just going back to school.
You know, there's a movie about this, right?
Yeah,
That gets no respect.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
There it goes.
Give him that one. Instead of just going back to school and doing your thing, Laura Oglesby pleaded guilty to one count of intentionally providing false information to the Social Security Administration on Monday and faces up to 5 years behind bars because she stole her daughter's identity to live as an undergrad student.
Was she trying to get on the road team at USC? Maybe.
Go ahead. Just go ahead. I mean, goodness gracious. Give him a hand, folks. Give him a hand. So, authorities say she uses Social Security card information belonging to Lauren Ashley Hayes, her estranged daughter.
Oh, that's yeah. Okay.
Bury the lead.
To get into Southwest Baptist University.
Oh, she was living it up, wasn't she?
I got nothing
What do you
for this.
So,
Oh, this is so good.
What? Oh,
yeah, you better move on.
She even had boyfriends who believed she was 22 years old.
How long was she there?
at Southwest Baptist.
At Southwest Baptist. Boyfriends, plural.
Yeah.
Boyfriends.
Plural.
Plural.
Oh, gosh.
48.
48. Anyway, we got 90 seconds left, and I got to put
good for her.
That's good.
I got to
Good
put this
for
one
her.
out there because, Halloween, they always tell you to check your candy for razor blades and whatnot. Well, a man who admitted to planting razor blades in pizza dough sold at a Maine-based supermarket chain was sentenced to 4 years and 9 months in prison in order to pay $230,000 in restitution. Quote, my intentions were never to harm anybody, only to disrupt my former employer's bottom line. Then why'd you use razor blades, bro? Like you could have just put something in there to make them sick. You didn't have to put the razor.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good one to go out on.
Y'all come back tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be hashtag riding on 22s. Oh, man. What a great day. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us again. If you missed any part of the show, go check out the podcast. Check out the video cast. We thank you. Join the conversation on Twitter at SM_TN Sports. Again, for Mo Patton, JP Plant, I'm Chris Yao bidding you a farewell on this Wednesday on Hump Day. Stay cool, Columbia.